Hey guys, my name is Edward. And roughly guys, 2 years ago around this same time, I used to weigh over 300 plus pounds, guys. Back then I was just super unmotivated. I felt super tired, just simply climbing upstairs, a little bit of stairs, guys. I was out of breath. I was out of gas. Long story short, guys, it was just complete shit for me back then. I was just honestly super unmotivated with myself. I had no discipline. And I was at a point where I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'll just self-destruct. So it even got to a point where I was just eating so consciously. I literally knew I was eating a bunch of shit that wasn't good for my body, but I still continued to eat because overall, guys, I was able to create like a coping mechanism, and I was just forcing myself to eat a whole bunch of shit knowing that it wasn't good for me. And if I'm being completely real with you guys, I honestly didn't think or even fathom that I would ever change my life and ultimately becoming the person and man that I am today. But now, guys, now that I've confidently lost over 70 plus pounds, and I'm still in the process of losing like 10 to 15 more pounds to really get to my ultimate goal weight, but I'm not gonna lie, losing 70 plus pounds is really an accomplishment. Looking back on it for me, guys. So chances are, if you're watching this video right now, you yourself have maybe tried to lose weight or maybe thought about losing weight. Or those of you guys who have actually tried to lose weight and then, maybe tried your fitness journey, but you maybe stopped halfway or you stopped very, very early on because you didn't see the immediate progress that you were looking for. Just overall, you didn't get that motivation or your motivation died down really, really quickly. So this video in general is just really for beginners and just people who really want to know what it takes to really successfully and really lock in on the fitness journey to ultimately see the results that you want as far as losing weight, losing body fat, and ultimately being your best version of yourself. So in this video, guys, I'm going to be sharing the real struggles, the no BS struggles that I personally went through and all the lessons that I've learned throughout the whole process and the whole journey of me losing 70 plus pounds of body fat. I'll be sharing the ups and downs, all the struggles, like I said, that I've been through, and I'm just going to be sharing my personal story that held me back, especially when I was in the middle of my fitness journey and I almost wanted to give up. So the one mistake that I made early on in my journey was weighing myself every single day. Guys, believe it or not, you do not have to weigh yourself every single day, especially when you're, I would say, especially in the middle of your journey. Because what I used to do very, very early on in my journey was weigh myself from day one. And if you guys know, yes, you're going to lose a lot of weight, especially initially. So I would always feel like some type of dopamine high weighing myself every single day in the morning. I literally knew this exact time, literally the day I woke up. Every single day in the morning, I would weigh myself, and I would see myself going on the scale every single day, little by little. Especially when I was over like 270, 280 pounds was like around that time I was doing it, like literally addictively weighing myself just seeing my weight go down. And I'll get into like overall the process of me losing the weight wasn't even the most optimal way, but yes, every day for like when I first took my fitness journey seriously, when I was around like 280 pounds, getting out of 270 to like 268. Every single day I was losing like, I think like zero point 0.2 to 0.3 pounds. I can't remember specifically, but all I knew was that I just felt super high and happy and giddy every single day when I woke up because I would see the weight go down. So that's one thing I want to just warn, especially super bigger guys, or just people who know they have a lot of weight to lose. Because if you get in the habit of weighing yourself every single day, once you're at a stagnant or stale point where you're going to plateau, you're gonna start feeling very, very discouraged, and that's kind of how I felt because I was so attached to the weight on the scale that it literally got to a point, guys, where it's like, let's say I weighed myself on Friday morning, and I wasn't at the weight that I thought in my head I should be at. That the rest of that weight literally could have made or broke my whole entire day. That weight on that scale could literally just make me like just say fuck it. And if I didn't weigh the goal weight that I was looking for, literally for me this is really bad. But let's say I was looking to weigh like, let's say at that point like 270 and I was 271. What I would tell myself, which was dumb, was like, you know what? Since I didn't lose that pound today, I'm gonna just make it a cheat day and just eat a whole bunch of BS because the scale's probably broken. Maybe if I don't know, I would just subconsciously, like looking back on it, it was just dumb. But for me, overall in conclusion, the weight on the scale would literally determine my mood for the entire day. So if I weighed the weight that I wanted to weigh, that's a tongue twister. But yeah, if I did that, I'd make sure I'd still be continuing eating correctly and doing the right things. But if I weighed myself and I didn't like the weight on the scale for that day, I would literally just binge eat just to like say, you know what, F it. On the scale, I didn't weigh what I was supposed to weigh, so let me just make this day a cheat day. So that was kind of my mindset back then. I was just super attached to the scale, especially early on. So don't get me wrong, guys. It's important to weigh to see progress, but it's only good to do, I would say, weekly. But doing it every single day, you'll start to have some type of addiction I'm not gonna lie, it's just like a dopamine hit. You're just gonna have some type of like a dopamine addiction to your weight going down. Because like I said, when you're really really big and you have a lot of weight to lose, you're gonna lose a lot of weight pretty quickly. So that's gonna be initially how you're gonna feel, but then once it gets down to the main, where it gets really really serious, and the main weight goal and the main weight journey starts around the middle. Starts around the middle weight where you really want to try to lose the extra pounds. That's when shit gets real, and you really have to lock in. So now my second point, which is kind of piggybacking off my first point, because you know how I mentioned that I was doing a bunch of weighing on the scale. Now, for me, initially, I did a whole bunch of unnecessary running cardio, and that was what was the initial weight that was dropping off my body. So, like I said, I would do a whole bunch of running on the treadmill for like at least an hour and a half, consistent running, guys. I honestly don't know how I did it. Looking back on it, I was a super fat person, just going on the treadmill, running for hours, and then I thought to myself, this is the only way to lose weight and lose body fat is to just run a whole bunch of just run a whole bunch of miles and rack up some steps that way, and that'll be my ultimate way to lose weight and see the results that I wanted to see, guys. That is not only incorrect. That shit is not going to be sustainable for anybody long term, especially if you're big and you have a lot of weight to lose. Just think about this: running on the treadmill for hours and hours. If you had to do that for 6 months straight, 5 to 6 days a week, your legs would literally just crumble. I would think so. Honestly, it'll be two things. It'll either crumble or you would have the most titanium robotic legs you would in history, because that shit will be crazy. Either way, you'll come out a different person. So honestly, if anybody wants to try that out, go ahead. But I just realized that shit was not going to be for me. I'd never wanted to build some crazy legs. But either way, that was another thing that I did that I realized was a big mistake, was spending hours and hours of time in the gym just strictly doing a bunch of cardio. Because at first it did help me lose initially a little bit of weight. So that was why I was thinking that, okay, I'm losing weight doing all this running, so let me just continue doing running and adding more time to the cardio, adding more speed, just overall adding more shit to my cardio sessions. And guys, literally, I remember this like it was yesterday. It was literally like the third week of me doing this. I somehow was able to push myself to do this consistently for like 3 weeks. And that third week, I literally was like having a mental battle with myself on like going to the gym, because for one, my legs were literally killing me and they were burning. And I remember I was weighing myself and I realized I was getting stagnant at a certain weight. So I would literally I was literally bumping up the cardio sessions every single week. And by that third week, I was, like I said, I was doing like an hour and a half of strictly running. No, not even a warm up. The second I stepped on that treadmill, boom, I went on the incline speed. Incline wasn't that crazy. It was mainly the speed that I was increasing, and instantly I didn't do no warm ups. Just started running immediately. So guys, I was doing that, and by the third week, I literally was crying. Like, I was having a mental war in my head, just simply trying to go to the gym because I did not want to go. My body was literally dying. So, and the weight on the scale was starting to become stagnant. So I was starting to lose motivation in general to even go to the gym. So guys, please, please, please understand that it's way more important to weight train and diet and have proper diet than doing hours of cardio in the gym. Now, my third point, guys, is that I used to do a lot of intermittent fasting and thinking that that was a solution for me to lose weight as far as the diet side. So for me, ultimately looking back on it, I was always trying to find a shortcut. For me, I thought to myself, if I did a whole bunch of cardio and did a whole bunch of running, that was a shortcut for me to lose weight. My goal in my head was I can lose all this weight in 3 months. 2 months, honestly, it was 2 months. I was thinking I could lose all the weight. 3 months, but 3 months was pushing it. So for me, what I was telling myself was the ultimate way to go from super fat to just skinny magically in 2 months was to spam a whole bunch of cardio running sessions and eating like 1 or 2 meals a day. That was what I was telling myself, guys. Please don't go through that mistake, because that will keep you stagnant. And trust me, it's not going to be sustainable. You'll think you can do it after the second week. If somebody can actually eat 1 meal a day and do an hour and a half of cardio for 2 weeks, that in and of itself deserves that. Whoever can do that deserves a prize. But if you can do that for 2 months straight, trust me, you're gonna see some good. So you're gonna weigh a lot. You're gonna weigh less, but ultimately, I just know it's not gonna be sustainable for most people. And the way you're gonna look in the mirror, especially if you're a big overweight guy, it's not gonna be super. It's not gonna be super impressive, and ultimately you're not gonna look the best that you want to look, because if you lose all that, because what I come to realize, guys, is losing all that weight super quickly, especially for a bigger guy, isn't gonna look good, because once you take off your shirt, all that flabby skin is gonna be there because your body still needs time to catch up to all this weight you're losing. That's why, guys, it's really important. I know it's gonna be tough for some people to understand, but it's really important to slow and progressively lose the weight. If you want to do it really slow and steady, because that gives your body time to slowly adjust to your new weight, your new body size. Because if you do it super quickly and drop like 30 pounds in a month, that's when the loose skin is going to be there. And honestly, I don't even know how, like, what the remedy for your loose skin. I think you're just going to have to ultimately get surgery. And that was one thing I did not want to do as a bigger overweight person. I wanted to stay away and avoid getting body reduction, having surgery to remove the body fat. I didn't want that to happen to me. So, and I realized, okay, the best way for me to really do this is think long term and focus on lifting weights, and just not always focusing on the scale, and but just doing what's sustainable for me long term, and really make my progress slow but linear, like linear in a positive direction. So, guys, that's one thing you're gonna have to understand. It's really important to think of it long term. If I'm being really real with you, it's gonna take somebody who's really serious and they're really big and obese. It's gonna take them at least 6 months. I would say a year to be safe, but 6 months could you would if you can lock it for 6 months, you will definitely see a lot of progress, and that could be maintainable. But 2 to 3 months is not going to be enough time. So get that through your head. That's going to be really important. And now the fourth thing, which I kind of touched on my last point, is for me, I didn't fully realize how long I needed to cut. So if you guys don't know, in the gym term, I guess you guys can say, people always mention a cutting phase and a bulking phase. So I kind of understood that concept. I was just doing it subconsciously, obviously, not subconsciously, but I was just doing it. So cutting just means you're just eating less calories, but still going to the gym, pushing hard, and just overall forcing your body to use your body fat to for that energy that you're going to be exerting throughout the day. But I was obviously in a cutting phase throughout this journey, and I honestly was telling myself, you know what? If I can, eat in a deficit for 2 months, 3 months max, I was telling myself, you know what? 3 months of eating in a deficit, that should be enough to get me to my goal, and I could ease up, eat more food after those 3 months. That was what I was telling myself, guys. Shit, I can't. This is one of the main ones that really kept me stuck, because after those 3 months were up, I literally would binge eat a lot and just eat a whole bunch of BS, and ultimately I'll look at myself, look at my stomach, and see that I was still almost back to square one. So, guys, it's really important to fully understand how long you need to be cutting and eating in a deficit. Ultimately, what I mean by this, guys, is that don't underestimate your cutting phase. You're probably, for most people, especially if you're big and overweight, you're probably gonna have to be in a cutting phase for like 6 months. Honestly, if you're super obese, it could go up to a year. But for most people, I feel like 6 months is a good solid mindset to put yourself in if you're really big and overweight. And like, especially if you have a gut, you're gonna have to be in a cutting phase for at least 6 months. So that was something that I didn't fully grasp. I was ultimately doing like 2 months of cutting, taking a week off break, and in that week I would binge eat. And if you guys don't know, if you take a whole week off and just binge eat in a week, that could literally fuck up 2 weeks of the, like, say you were cutting for a month. That whole week of binge eating could literally negate 2 weeks worth of cutting work that you've done. So please make sure you fully understand and fully grasp how long you're gonna have to be in your cutting phase. So, like I said, for me, and what I've come to realize was that 6 months is what I really needed to dedicate to eating clean, eating low calorie, eating in a deficit, and that's ultimately what's going to make it look super good because once you get out that cut, man, especially if you really lock in for those 3 to 6 months, I would say, bro, you'll look so different. So please make sure you understand and fully grasp, and do not underestimate how long you should be cutting for. Now, guys, my last point, which is kind of my most important point, was overall, I would say my ego got in my way of ultimately me seeing the results, and throughout my journey, I wasn't able to see the results that I was looking for initially, and I was really stuck at one point. I can remember this like it was yesterday. 250, from 245 to 250 pounds. I was literally at that weight for at least 3 weeks. I could not get past that in the scale, and I was literally at a point where I was like, you know what? I was literally just telling myself, there's no way I can lose this weight. I'll just be stuck at like a semi decent looking guy who has some muscle, but still has a gut, still has a little bit of a gut. And I'll just be okay with being 245 to 250. That was what I was telling myself. I was getting to that point where it's like, bro, I'm only 6'2" and a half. Most of the super lean people around my height are around like 200 pounds, maybe 210, and I was all the way up at 245, 250. So I was telling myself, maybe it's just genetics. Maybe I can't get to this super lean goal weight. So I almost got to a point where I gave up and became satisfied with being that weight. And the reason why I was stuck at that weight, guys, was because I didn't ultimately have proper guidance and proper directions for somebody to really help me personally. So I always thought, bringing it back to the ego point I was mentioning, I didn't believe that I needed any guidance whatsoever. I thought everything is online for free. All the information you need is online, which in a sense it is. But ultimately, all this information that's online, even using ChatGPT, isn't always 100% accurate, especially for your specific situation, because everybody is differently. Ultimately, the internet can only give you so much information that's like for the masses, but everybody's different. So not everybody, certain diets don't work for everybody. Certain workouts, certain things don't work out for every single person. They work in general, they could work out, but everybody's different ultimately at the end of the day. So for me, guys, I was using ChatGPT to make me a meal plan, make my workout structures. I was watching a lot of popular YouTubers that like science-based lifters, like Jeff Nippert and those guys. So that was what I was doing initially, and I'm not gonna lie, it helped. So I'm not here to say that using all this information on and all these resources online don't help, because they do help, because that initially helped me lose 50 pounds. So from 300 pounds to all the way to like 250, 260, I was able to get to that point by myself pretty much, using ChatGPT for all my nutrition, making sure it was locking in my nutrition. It was giving me a nutrition plan, and all the workouts I was using YouTube videos, seeing what they were doing, and just following the program. But like I said, for me, I don't know what it was. I was just stuck at this weight at 250. So I was plateauing for a good amount of time at this weight, and I almost gave up. So it wasn't until I really did some more research, got a coach for myself who's coaching me right now currently to get down to like 210, 205. Right now, as I'm recording this video, guys, I'm at 220 pounds. So he's helped me lose tremendous weight. The coach I currently have. So he's helped me really dial in and give me personal, detailed nutrition that I should be following, because he tweaked my diet. I showed him what I was eating before, and he changed that up. He changed that up for me. He also made me a personal workout plan that I'm sticking to. So in conclusion, guys, what I want to ultimately get at, for those of you, especially at the beginner level, who have no direction and have no guide, because who have no direction and no like overall structure, it's really, really important, guys, to have proper structure as far as your nutrition diet, and your workout routines. But that's just something I wanted to share with you guys. That was definitely a struggle for me, was because after a certain point, doing it by yourself will only get you so far. That's what I realized, that I needed to find somebody who knew exactly what they're talking about, somebody who's at the goal that you're trying to achieve, whether that's like an in-person trainer. I didn't believe in in-person training either, so I didn't believe in any coaching whatsoever from like an in-person gym trainer. I thought to myself, because most of the guys at the gym aren't even super fit to begin with, but that's besides the point. But either way, I thought I could do everything myself. So ultimately, guys, it's really important, especially if you're new in this shit, because ultimately you don't really know that much because you're big in the first place. So what you've been doing hasn't been working, obviously. So it's important, especially for you guys starting out, to find somebody who can really help you and guide you. So it's really important to have a coach who can guide you and lead you in the right direction as far as your proper meal plan, proper diet structure, and just overall catering it to your best interest so you can stick to it long term. So it's really important to have that in place, guys. So that's all I got for this video, man. Hope you guys enjoyed and liked this video, man.